where does web analytics actually fit in the picture? This is something that has come up several times over the past week amongst, I don't know, half a dozen of our clients. So our team asked, hey, let's chat through this, let's build it out. And I want to share this strategy session with you of where does it fit into it. And we have a great framework here at Vision Labs on how to show you this. So buckle up, sit down. I hope that this resonates with you. The way that we think about this is the idea of a bow tie. So I'm going to sketch this out. We're going to have a little bow tie here. And how this works is over here on the left, we have the idea of our web analytics. This is going to be everything from the entirety of the customer journey. So let's just start at the top. So we'll have things like landing page views. We'll have impressions. We'll have engagement on the site. Then we're going to have intent, right? So this might be people that go to your contact page. And then we're going to have ultimately some sort of contact creation. So this is where things start to get a little spicy. So over here, we have the idea of web analytics. Before web analytics, we're going to have the idea of off-platform. And this is going to be where you have your Facebooks. You also have the Google ads, you name it, etc. Right? So the impressions of Facebook impressions might be one example, right? So off-platform, where you just have the idea of a number that some API gives you. We then have the concept of people who viewed your landing pages, people who engage with your content, who have gone through the intent process of viewing something, and then went all the way down the entire funnel, right here, funnel, to the content creation. We then have people who move all the way down this funnel, right, all the way down into creating a contact. And that create of a contact is where the concept of either RevOps or sales-led organizations, or if you're a PLG company, this is where the concept of product analytics, RevOps analytics, sales analytics start to come into play, depending on the type of company that you're running. So once this contact is created, you now have something that is unique. You have a way to identify a user, right? That you can use their email, right? Let's just, for the sake of simplicity, we'll just say their email equals Rose B. Jordan at hotmail.com. We now know this person, right? We can say, hey, this person, they viewed this lead page, they went to this engagement, they did this intent, they did this contact creation. That is what web analytics is oftentimes anonymous. Oftentimes you are dealing with cookie blockers, consent, and things like that. But the second that someone says, hey, I consent, I believe that you are a good company and I am looking to have what you're selling, then we can say we've identified the user. We then have to move this person through a process. This, my friends, is where we have the term onboarding. I don't care whether you're selling an info product, a high-ticket sale, B2B software, you name it, there is some sort of onboarding that has to occur the second after you submit an email. I'll give you examples at Vision Labs. Once you submit a lead magnet form, there is a thank you page that has my face on it telling you about our process. That is onboarding. I want to know how many people watch that video. That is onboarding. We then have the expansion over here on the right. So this is where the bow tie comes in. And this is where oftentimes web analytics gets conflated. People start shoving things into web analytics that shouldn't be in web analytics. Quick interruption here. My name is JJ Reynolds, founder here at Vision Labs. And if you have any inkling in your body of saying, hey, I don't know what's happening here, go over to visionlabs.com/contact, fill out a contact form, let us know where you are and where you want to be. Do you want to be a fish struggling in the river? Do you want to be on the bank fishing for just the fish that you can have? Let us know, visionlabs.com/contact. I'll see you around. This is where you have the lovely term of product analytics. This is where people start, have a trial. Maybe they start adopting. Right? There's a lot of acronyms that every type of consultant wants to use here. Adoption, then there's revenue, then there's escalation, you name it. There's a lot of different ways that you can kind of think through here, right? So the idea is they use it more and you make more money. whether that's through adoption or increasing in tiers or seat-based pricing, you name it, that is what you have. On Vision Labs end, you can use it as we have product that we deliver. We deliver a service that once you have this, we then have the SOW. We then have people that accept the SOW, a follow-up call, where all of those things are into the actual product that we are delivering. So people will ask me about this. I'm going to make a much better diagram of this. You can now follow this user all the way through the entire journey and say, hey, we now know Rose B. Jordan, they created a contact. We can go backwards in time and see the lead page. We can see the landing page. We can see the engagement, the intent, the contact creation, what they did, and they then move forward. There is a very dangerous trap that people encounter when they start doing this, is they start looking at, hey, how many contacts created? And then let's go backwards. So I'm going to go up here and say, hey, we have our lovely Rose B. Jordan at hotmail.com. And this user, along with other users, created something. And we want to take this user, and we're going to go back in time and say, oh my goodness. And then this is the question that we get consistently again and again and again. And every company has asked this, whether you're doing 1 million or 100 million or a billion in top line revenue, is what did they do? And now this is where we start to run into problems, because this one person is not what you should base your entire marketing strategy and your entire web analytics strategy on. You don't want to say, hey, what they do. What you would like to do is frame this the opposite way of what were we trying to get someone to do and they did do. Let me set the stage, give you an example. Say, for example, you have a lovely website, and that website, you have the concept of, maybe it's just like /plays, right? They're like beautiful marketing, message, and positioning plays. You can see it. I'll call it templates because that's what it really is. So these plays, they are meant to drive engagement. So, hey, the goal of a play is to have people engage with the content on the play. That should then move them to say, oh my goodness, this is some phenomenal work. Maybe I want to go and check out other things. I say, hey, on the plays page, they then can move and say, hey, we have other things that might interest you. Check out the concept of our next workshop. So then they go from plays to /workshop. This right here is what we're talking about. Work plays to workshop. They're then in the workshop play. And they're like, oh my goodness, this sounds phenomenal. They then come over here and we now have a sign up event. Sign up. Okay. So our marketing here is that we want to try and push people, say, hey, we have these awesome plays. It's meant to attract people from paid ads or organic or things like that. We then drive them to the plays, deliver that value. We then say, hey, want to join our workshop? Our workshops are pretty cool. We talk about this stuff in more depth. And then they sign up for that workshop. Maybe after this workshop, they sign up and then you say, hey, we have an awesome B2B software. It's really cool. It does color analysis of your Mac Pro, right? Every B2B software needs that. So you should go sign up for this. And you should say, hey, we need this thing right now. So then you could take that sign up, right, to your webinar. And you could say, hey, we're going to have our sales team give you a call, book a call. They go to book a call and they book a call. And then you end up with a sales call and then they sign. Let's just do that really quickly. So here they have your sales call. They then sign up right there. Oh my gosh, this is phenomenal, amazing. I love it so much. That is your funnel. Over here, we have web analytics. Then over here, we have product analytics or RevOps analytics, depending on how you want to call it. And this right here is meant to do this. There was a great example that I heard of how you can use this analogy of saying, hey, we have a fish. Let's see if there's a fish here. And this fish we caught at 11:49 p.m. at this specific lake called Lake Ontario at these exact coordinates. We caught that fish. Boom, caught the fish. That fish, we then mark it on a little calendar and say, next year, same time, same place, I'll be here to catch that fish. So you wait 1 year, you come back, you drop your line right in the fish and say, hey, love little fish, why are you not biting my hook again? Well, a lot of things have changed. The water temperature's changed, things have changed, all of that. And you're in this giant lake. You're like, oh my goodness, why did I not catch a fish? So what would be a better way to think about this is that we have the lovely river where our fish are rolling. Here's our lovely river, the little bend right there. And we could be over here fishing. We're like, hey, I'm going to fish on this little riverbank. And that happens to you, right? You don't catch a fish. Maybe you catch one every once in a while and you're like, oh, this sucks so much. Well, what that you people will do is they catch a fish and say, where'd this fish go? And they say, oh my goodness, the fish started over here and then it went down over here and then it zigzagged back up here and then it went over here and then, oh, this is our fish and our fish ended up over here. It went all the way down here and then came back right and we caught it right there. That is what our fish did. So we need to go track backwards and use our amazing attribution to say, hey, this fish did these things. We need to do that again. That sounds crazy, right? That does not sound like a good idea. So what you can do when you're looking at web analytics in general is you can say, what are we trying to get someone to do? And instead of doing something really wild like we just talked about, trying to cookie them or do something crazy, is we build a dam. We say, hey, we want to try and put the majority of fish, the majority of the time, and we want to push them into this kind of little river right here, this little section over here. So come on, little fishy, go, hey, you can check over here. And I am just going to fish right here. I'm going to say, hey, let's fish right on there. So I post up, this is me right there, and I want to say fish right here. And I happen to catch fish after fish after fish. And I say, what if we made this dam a little bit bigger? What if we did something else to kind of force this overall? And that is where the idea of a funnel or our bow tie analytics come into play, where you are not trying to track one fish wherever it goes. You are using your web analytics to say, hey, we have tried to set up this wall. We've tried to set up this marketing strategy. Is it working? Are we pushing the fish to the right spot so that our team can go fishing and not have to go into a giant lake to understand that? So one little fish will come into the river and we'll say, hey, is the fish in the right spot? It doesn't matter. We just know that they're upriver. Hey, they're upriver somewhere. We can track them on specific landing pages, engagement, and things like that. But then they go into our little section right here. This is the bow tie. And we can catch as many fish as we'd like to. Maybe we throw back the ones that aren't quite a fit and we throw them back upriver. Maybe the ones that are a fit, we say, hey, this is great. Let's keep this one fish. And then we are able to keep going and make and expand those fish. We'll grow them to be our trials and adoption and give us more revenue. And that is how web analytics fits into things, is that we can say, hey, this over here is where web analytics fits in. Everything before the contact creation. We want to measure that as best as we possibly can using the combination of looking at the right questions and finding the right engagement and using the right intent signals so that we know we have the majority of fish in the majority of the time at the place that we want them to be. From there, we can then start looking at our product analytics and say, hey, let's measure all these things and drive correlations. But I would say in general, that's why those two teams oftentimes fight with each other, product and marketing, where marketing is dealing with unknown unknowns and trying to build little dams, while product is trying to tag every single fish and say, how do the majority of fish act when they are in our pond? Are they on the left side or the right side or up or down or deep or shallow? And that right there, my friends, is how you can use an entire analytics function together, where you have web analytics on one side, you have product analytics on the other, and you can tie them all together using an email address or a database ID or a phone number. Whatever floats your boat, you can use. And so that is how you can think about your web analytics. If you have any questions at all, just let me know.